Hey everyone, welcome back to my train room. If it's your first time, my name is Don, and this is the CCP&T O-Gauge Railroad. Now, last week we did the very first video for the channel, and at that point in time we did the overview, went over the entire layout, looking at the main line all the way through. But we didn't touch the sidings. I said we're going to come back and do some of that this week, along with showing you a couple changes I do want to make to the layout. But before we do all that, we should probably discuss what is the CCP&T. Well, it's the Cripple Creek, Pueblo, and Trinidad Railroad, which is a fictitious short line railroad that I came up with. When I was going to do the layout, I knew I wanted it to be in the mountains. And I knew I wanted to be maybe the 1930s, 1940s, something like that. And some earlier layouts, I'd been in the 20s and 30s. I wanted to move up a little because I wanted to add some diesel to go along with the steam. I knew I wanted the mountains, so I knew we were going to do that. And the reason I wanted a short line, and the way we came up with it, the Cripple Creek, Pueblo, Trinidad area I thought was a very good area. Southern Colorado. In the late 1800s, you had two railroads basically going through that area, and that was the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe, the Denver, Rio Grande Western, and those two were working through that area, both kind of vying for the passes through the mountains by Pueblo. In the end, the Santa Fe went west to California, the Denver, Rio Grande headed south towards Texas. I knew I had those two going through that area, and they were both going through the Pueblo area. But I knew at the same time you had a lot of small towns, Cripple Creek, Trinidad, and countless others in the area. You also have a lot of mines, like I stick-built or scratch-built this one. Is it an ore mine, a coal mine, silver, lead, uranium? All that stuff was being mined in Colorado, along with logging operations. And all those small operations needed rail service. And that's where a short line railroad comes into play. So that's where the CCP&T came in. I wanted to build a short line railroad. You're not going to see huge 20, 30 car trains going around my railroad. That wouldn't be what you'd have. You'd have smaller trains. They're going from small towns. They might be picking up passengers in just a small single passenger car, and they end up taking them then to Pueblo. Pueblo would be where the main lines would be coming through. You'd have freight coming through the Santa Fe or the Rio Grande. Some of those cars would be dropped off in Pueblo, and now the CCP&T would pick them up and bring them around to the small towns, or they would stop at the mines, pick up ore cars, take them to Pueblo, bring back empties. That was the entire design for my railroad. So I want to give you that so you got an idea where I'm coming from when I design my layout. All right, so that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea where we start with here. As far as sidings, I haven't named anything yet because I'm not 100% sure. So that's something we're kind of going to do down the line, but I'll give you a rough idea of what I'm thinking about. So let me get off the stool, get a hold of the camera, and let me start taking you around and showing you some of the sidings and what we have so far. All right, so what we have here is going to be, I'm not really sure. By main scene, you can see I do have the station on the left. There will be some buildings on the right side. There'll be a street that goes down the middle. And I don't know if this is really going to be a main street or exactly what it's going to be yet. I haven't quite decided, but I do know we'll put buildings on both sides with a street that goes down the middle. I also have this siding right here, and you can see I got a box sitting there, so we will probably put a couple businesses there. Now, if there's one thing if I back up here, you can take note of, and that is this building, the siding here and the streets are not straight with their layout. You can see they're kind of almost like at a 45-degree angle to the table. And to me, that's intentional, because what I like to do is I like to take videos and pictures of my layout when I get them into with all the scenery done. And I've got a lot of Facebook groups that I belong to. You'll post, and plus just to use them here on the YouTube channel. By setting this up at a 45-degree angle for the cameras and the video, it gives you a good shot right down the street. And it also gives you an opportunity to see the front of the business, or you move over a bit and you see the back of the business. And such as I'm going to come over here to this siding right here, and here you don't see that much of the front of the business on this one, but this is the one where you could now have a box car sitting on the siding, and the loading ramp is behind the building. You'll get a good shot of the loading ramp and the box car, and you're getting that because it's sitting at the 45-degree angle. As opposed to, let me move over here, this will eventually be a siding where this train is sitting. Now, there will be buildings in front of the train, so the siding will actually be behind it. But as you can see, because I'm running parallel with the table, you're not going to get to see the back of the buildings. So here, you care more about the front of the buildings than you do the back. So the scenery work will be all about what's happening in front of the business, not so much what's happening behind it. Whereas when I come over here and I work with this one, the scenery is going to be more about what's going on behind the business than it is what's going on in front. And I think the same thing will happen when I get to the station. Depending how it's set up, you can either get a good angle here at the front of the station, or with the train not in there, you can get a good angle here on the track side. So either way, that is why this one is set up in this direction. Now, I haven't really decided if that station is going to be Cripple Creek or Trinidad. Odds are it's probably going to be Cripple Creek, but I haven't quite decided. But it's not going to be Pueblo. Pueblo is going to be the bigger city. That's going to be where the bigger lines came in, and where we're going to, where we're taking stuff to and picking stuff up. And that's not really going to be on the layout. That's going to be this switch right here. Because this switch right here gives us to this track, and that track is leaving the layout. That one's heading off and heading to another room, which that location will be Pueblo. So let me take you around and I'll show you what I'm doing over there. All right, here's Pueblo. So you can see we're coming through the hole in the wall, and I've kind of put an L-shaped table. We're over here where we have a couple sidings here, and then the main sidings will be here. So whether this is where I stage trains to go back and forth through, and if you notice, as the line comes through the hole in the wall, there is a switch where you can go left or right. And the main reason that's there is this now becomes another reverse loop. So you can see the track goes all the way around with the yard inside of the reverse loop. So as the train comes in, we can come in, add new cars, get a new train ready to go out. And when they go back out, they can go out forward because they just did another reverse loop in here. I will probably do scenery in here also. I said I'd like to do some switching, and I thought this might be a good operation. I'll need to put a backdrop up, do the scenery work, and this might be a nice spot to be able to do some switching work. All right, guys, let's talk about the first change I want to make. And that's going to be on my upper level reverse loop. It ends where the switch is in the corner. Now, I used to have an incline along this wall way before I did any of my changes, which of course I don't use anymore. But because that's out and I've got everything rebuilt differently, I can now adjust what's up here where my mine is. I can change and move some tracks around a little, and in doing that, I can now move that switch. The switch that goes into my reverse loop can now be moved. And what I'm going to do to make this reverse loop a little bit bigger is we'll come around with a second track, and what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way down here with two tracks, and now that switch is going to be about right in here. I'll place it right about here. Now the reverse loop will start and end here instead of back here in the corner. That's going to give us a lot longer stretch back here. More importantly, it'll give us a shorter stretch between the upper level reverse loop and the lower level reverse loop where we've just got single track. Now, disadvantage or advantage, whichever way you want to look at it, a lot of this is going to have to be torn out. I need level track along here. I may be able to salvage some of this down here, quite possibly. This in here will have to go out because I need to come level across here. What I am thinking of doing is coming out maybe to here and then curving the rock back in to there. And by doing that, I can curve it in, curve it back out here, and this area I could put in a large trestle, put a big bridge in here, have the rocks curve around to account for it. Then, as I said, we'll come all the way down. We'll totally remove that. That's scenery that I never did finish. I got it started, didn't finish. The corner itself, we're probably going to just totally change that corner. Where the curve is now, I'm going to make it more gradual. I need to put in the switch here. Eventually, I need to add another switch. I'll have to do that. So, going to have to make some changes in that corner, but that's going to give us a lot longer reverse loop on top, and that's what I'm pushing for. Change number 2. Let's go with change number 2. And change number 2 actually starts where change number 1 left off. Because in change number 1, we were changing the corner over in this area. And by doing that, I was going to be adding an extra switch. And the reason I was going to do that, and I'll see if I can move you around a little here from a distance. I don't know if this is going to work or not, something new. Right here is our incline or decline, as we have it, that goes from lower level to upper level. My plan is to go back to this corner, add a switch, and I'll now start a new incline. And the new incline will be going just outside of this one, and will be going at that end of the table, or that side of the table, on the outer edge of it. And what we're going to do is come all the way down to this end of the table. See if I can move you over where you can see it. To where we really don't have anything going at this end of the table. Plan is, just inside of this track, this entire part of the table, I'm going to remove it. I'll take out the foam. I'll probably cut out some of the plywood or OSB that's underneath it. And my plan is another level here. And this will be a third level. So this one may sit, the base may sit 12 to 14 inches above the base down here. Where this switch is, there'll probably be a tunnel right about here. So this switch stays outside the tunnel. All the incline or on that end will all be inside of a mountain. We'll build a large area. Much of the incline on that side will all be, again, inside. Now the nice part is it's on the edge of the layout on both sides. We can put the side on the outside to cover it, but it would be easy access to get inside to clean track, or if car derails or something like that, it would be easy to get to. By coming up here with a whole new level, and we'll put 1 or 2 sidings up here. It may be a mine, it may be a logging operation. I haven't decided yet. We may get both. If I can get 2 in, I'll get 2 in. But by taking out the table, it's just going to make it easier for me to access for wiring. But otherwise, you come down and then you got to try to get through another table. And I've done that before with HO, and it's not very easy. So I will probably cut out some holes in here. Who knows? Some of this may end up either real close to being inside tunnel or just out. I'm not sure. But I end up wanting this corner, and it's going to kind of be narrow. It's going to go wide, and then it'll come down narrow at that table again. So it's going to be kind of a two-sided affair or a triangle when it's all said and done. And I really kind of want to make that a focal point. That I now want to be the focal point, because you come into my layout and the door is behind me. As you come in, that's going to be the first thing you see. So that's what the envision is, to have this as more of a focal point and a pretty good sized mountain when it's all said and done. Well, that should have us for video number 2. We've gone over the entire layout. We've talked about the sidings and including the staging area off in the other room. We discussed the changes that I plan on making, and I think change number 1 to increase the upper loop over here, that's going to be next on the list. So we start into that. I'll show you some of my tear out here, some of the rebuild as I'm doing it, some ideas I have, give you an opportunity in case you've got any ideas. We're going to have to do a lot of scenery work now. We need a lot of hills. We need a lot of rocks. And I'll tell you what, I've had a lot of comments on rocks. A lot of people have seen the pictures and they really like the rocks. I'll show you how to make them. The biggest thing is painting. A lot of people say, man, I wish I had the artistic talent to paint like that. I'm going to show you how to paint these rocks, and you need zero artistic talent. Nothing. And it's fast. I've watched people paint some rocks, and boy, I'll tell you what, that takes them forever. I'm going to show you this entire mountain hill. You can paint all those rocks and be done in 5 minutes. It is that fast, and it can look like that in just a few minutes. So we're going to get into that in future videos, which kind of means if you haven't subscribed and you want to learn how to do that, it might be a good time to do it, so you'll be around for that. So otherwise, we are done for this one. We'll be back next time, and let's start tearing things apart so we can rebuild them. See you then.